I was born where the cold never fully leaves. Even when the sun appears, it does not truly warm the land. It only illuminates it. I am a wolf. My body belongs to this place from before I understood hunger or fatigue. Thick fur to hold back the wind. Wide paws so I do not sink easily into the snow. A nose made to read the world before my eyes ever need to. In the beginning, the world had shape. Not the shape of visible borders, but of repeating scents. I recognized every trail by the old trace of the pack, mixed with crushed moss, damp wood, and ice that never completely melted. I knew where the lake began by the heavier air. I knew where the forest grew denser by the deeper silence. Routine held everything together. We hunted when hunger tightened. We traveled long distances in silence, hearing only the sound of paws on snow and the heavy breathing after the run. When the prey fell, the world went quiet for a moment. Only teeth, warm flesh, and steam rising into the cold air. Then came rest, always brief, always alert. Winter drew us closer. The pack moved as one body. The cold demanded it. When the wind cut too hard, we pressed together. When the snow grew deep, we opened paths for one another. There was no choice. We either moved together, or we did not move at all. The sounds of the world were few and predictable. Branches snapping, distant wings beating, ice groaning under the weight of winter itself. At night, the silence was deep, broken only by distant howls, answers from other wolves marking presence without needing to come near. Humans existed, but they stayed far away. Sometimes the wind carried a strange scent of smoke, dry and bitter. Sometimes wood striking wood, too distant to cause immediate alarm. Bones left near clearings appeared from time to time. Easy food, always paired with something wrong in the air. Where there were human remains, there was danger. I learned early that humans never traveled alone. Where they went, dogs followed. Dogs with confused scent, a mix of wolf and fear. And there was also iron, even though I did not know what it was. I only felt it. A metallic taste in the air that tightened the body without explanation. Still, in those days, they did not change my path. They were a distant part of the world, like a storm passing far away. The forest still ruled. The prey still answered. The territory was still ours. I was strong. My body endured the cold. Hunger came and went. The world had rhythm. And then, without warning, the air began to change. At first, the change had no shape. It was only a feeling in the body, like weather turning without warning. The air began to carry scents that did not fade. Smoke that did not come from lightning. Smoke that repeated, constant, as if fire had grown roots in the wind. Then came other odors, cooked animal fat, dried fish, human sweat in greater quantity than before. It was no longer an isolated trace the wind brought and took away. It was a scent that lingered, that gathered between the trees even on the coldest days. The sounds changed as well. Wood being cut, not once, but many times. Rhythmic blows, always the same. Human voices more frequent, closer. Not solitary hunters passing quickly. Groups. Many footsteps together marking the snow. The forest reacted before I did. The prey grew restless. Deer abandoned ancient routes. Elk left areas where they always appeared at the beginning of winter. Small animals vanished for entire days, as if the ground itself had become dangerous to touch. I saw humans up close one cold morning when the sky was too clear to hide anything. I was following a weakened deer when its scent suddenly mixed with that of humans. Wet leather, sweat, dogs. I lay flat in the snow, motionless. The wind came from them toward me, delivering everything. They emerged between the trees carrying wood and iron. They wore furs, But they moved differently, heavier, more certain. They spoke in hard, short sounds that struck the air like stones. A dog stepped forward and sniffed. My entire body tightened. The world became small, tight, like a trap. But the human pulled the cord, and they moved on. The deer fled. Hunger stayed with me. After that, the signs spread quickly. Trails opened where dense forest once stood. Trees were cut and left on the ground. Earth pressed by many feet, marked too deeply to vanish with the next snow. The scent of the sea began to appear mixed with human scent, even far from the water, as if something were carrying men from far away into the territory. At night, lights appeared where there had only been darkness, constant fire, low chants that sometimes turned into shouts. Then, heavy silence. The wind carried blood in the air, human blood, animal blood. I did not understand the reason. I did not know why they came or why they moved that way. I only felt the consequences. Where they passed, the world became different. Not immediately, but permanently. I reached an old valley of the pack, known since before I was born. There was always prey there, always silence. That day the air was too heavy. Smoke, blood, ravens circling low, impatient. Bodies lay scattered. Humans fallen, some unmoving, others still breathing with difficulty. Shields abandoned in the snow. Broken wood. Iron spread across the ground. The scent was strong, impossible to ignore. Before I could decide to approach, I heard footsteps. Many. Armed men emerged from the slope, crossing the valley as if it were nothing but passage. They spoke loudly, laughed, carried things. They were not hunting. They were going somewhere else. The valley was left over. When they left, the ravens descended, and in that moment, without understanding words or reasons, I knew the world I had known had begun to break. After that day, nothing returned to its place. The territory was still there, but it no longer responded the same way. Old paths became dangerous. Trails that had once been safe now carried human scent. Small rivers where I drank without thought now tasted bitter with their presence. Food grew scarce, not because animals vanished, but because they moved before they could be seen. Deer left too early. Elk did not return. Small prey disappeared for entire days. The forest was uneasy, as if it had learned fear. My body felt it first. Ribs showed beneath the fur. The cold reached deeper. Hunger arrived sooner and stayed longer. When the belly tightened, the world shrank and hardened, like old ice. I began to follow human scents more closely, not out of curiosity but necessity. Where there were humans, there were remains. Bones broken in strange ways, abandoned hides, fat hardened by cold. Easy food, always paired with danger. On a moonless night, I approached a place made of wood and fire. The scent of many humans was trapped in the air, as if it had nowhere to go. Domestic animals were held behind barriers. I sensed their fear mixed with hay and waste. I waited for the right wind, moved low, using the shadows of trees. I found remains near a wall and began to eat quickly. Every bite was urgency. The bark came without warning. I ran. Dogs followed, fast and confident. I heard human voices approaching, heavy steps breaking the snow. One dog reached my flank and bit. The pain was hot, sudden. I bit back only to drive it away. I reached the dense forest. The dogs did not follow further. I hid, trembling. Blood ran and began to cool. The cold tried to close the wound by force. In the days that followed, I limped. The scent of my blood betrayed me. Ravens appeared too early. A fox watched from a distance, waiting for weakness. I needed to find the pack. It took time. The territory was confused. Scents overlapped. When I finally found them, we were fewer. Some had died in the winter. Others were simply gone. The absence was clear, like a space where a scent should exist. The pack changed. We hunted more at night, avoided smoke, followed smaller prey, rested less. The world became constant movement, as if it were never safe to stop for long. Even together, we were no longer unseen. One morning we crossed a frozen lake to shorten our path when I sensed human scent against the wind. I lifted my head and saw men moving fast across the snow, pulled by domestic animals. They shouted, pointed. An arrow struck the ice near me with a dry sound. The pack scattered. A young one slipped. A man approached with iron raised. I moved without thinking, growled, bit the air. The man hesitated for a moment. Another arrow came and struck my shoulder. Pain tore through my body. I ran until the air became knives in my chest. We reached the forest and vanished. Later we tore out the wood, but the iron remained for a time. It inflamed. It weakened me. I survived. But something in me had broken along with the world around us. Winter did not stop because of humans. It always continues. Snow keeps falling, covering old and new tracks the same way. The wind still comes from the north, cutting the muzzle and carrying scents that change each day. The world did not end. It only grew harder. My wound closed with time, but it never returned to what it was. The shoulder stiffened. I learned to run differently, to spare one side of my body. I learned to measure effort. Strength still existed, but it had to be used carefully. The pack changed as well. We were fewer but more alert. Less noise, less haste. We moved like shadows, choosing paths that avoided smoke and dogs. Where we once passed without thought, we now observed for a long time before advancing. Humans kept moving. Sometimes they appeared in great numbers, full of sound and fire. Other times they vanished for weeks, leaving only marks. Cut trees, scattered bones, the scent of iron rusting in the air. They crossed the territory like a violent season, never the same, never permanent in the same way. I did not understand what they sought. I did not understand why they fought one another, why they sang before noise, why they left bodies behind. Those things did not belong to me. What reached me were the effects, always the effects. Where they passed, the forest learned new silences. Some areas never saw elk again. Some paths stayed empty even after snow covered everything. Other places, forgotten by them, slowly learned to breathe again. I learned that surviving was not winning. It was simply continuing. Waking hungry and seeking food. Feeling fear and choosing the right direction. Knowing when the territory still accepted and when it pushed away. Sometimes, on very cold nights, the world grew too quiet. No sound of wood, no human voices, only wind and snow. In those moments, the past felt close, as if nothing had truly changed. But the wind would shift, and the scent of smoke would return. A distant bark would be enough to remind me. I kept moving, thinner, quieter, more attentive to the ground than the sky. My body carried marks that would not fade, but it still answered. It still ran. It still hunted. It still felt the world through scent, cold, and the weight of its own movement. Sometimes I howled, not to call for war, not to mark a human world. I howled to find my own in the darkness, to say I was still here, that the pack still existed, smaller, tired, but alive. The sound rose and spread through the snow. Ancient, without owner, older than boats, iron, or controlled fire. Humans continued crossing Scandinavia, armed, loud, leaving marks that took time to fade. They came and went. I remained, Because the cold still returns. Hunger still teaches. The forest still accepts those who learn to listen. And I, wolf, continue walking.